Eileo guys, and welcome back. Hopefully everyone's doing well out there, and in today's video we're taking a look at the next ultimate evolution, which of course is Sun Wukong. So very excited to see how he's going here, and of course we have the fire one pulled up first, because I do RGB, then light and dark at the very end. But let's take a quick look at his little transformation from his regular Evo 3 version. And if you're new to the game, Fire Wukong especially is literally just a wood titan staple. There's no other way around that, and I do believe I used mine in one of the dimensional dungeons as well, just to farm out some of the dimensional stones for super ascension. I believe I used him today actually, and I haven't paired it with some Yukis because he has defense down, and courageous strike is useful sometimes in certain applications here. But let's click on this ultimate evolution, and wow, yeah, he looks great. And you know what's odd? It's very odd because if you look at his other models, they're very cartoony, very bright, and not saying that they're lacking in detail, but the detail just isn't as fine. But as soon as he goes the ultimate evolution, he gets this rich dark hair and these rich dark tones on him. Wow, interesting. But anyways, let's take a look at his actual skills. So we're going to start here with the Fire Wukong, and Fire Wukong is an attacker type with his super duper long name, coming in with 31k HP, 3.8k attack, and then 2.7k defense. You love to see it. I mean, his stats were fine before, but with the whole boost of the ultimate evolution, it has gotten even better here. Take a look at the skills. I mean, I've been through his other skills before, but especially if you're new here, trying to help you out. So first off, let's talk about his leader skill, Death Blow. Once again, as I stated before, Wood Titan. Normally he's always in the lead, I believe mainly in the left lane. Maybe there's someone out there rocking him in the right lane too, especially with a leech set on him. But that Death Blow lead just boosts up the crit damage of your entire squad for Titans, meaning more damage from him, and of course more damage from your Fire Shinobis, and what is it, baby girl Eileo, I just call her B. Anyways, the fire demon chick with the sword here. So very good variant skill, especially if you are lucky enough to pull one of those. And even if you pull a water one, spoiler alert, just feed it into your fire one, because I don't see anyone regretting that they have a variant Fire Sun Wukong here. But anyways, his 3-star skill is defense down, 8% chance to reduce the enemy's defense for 2 turns. Great for kind of stacking up damage for your Fire Shinobis in the right lane, and even for him to do more damage over time to the Titan. And then for the 5-star skill, it's courageous strike, meaning the more HP that a monster has, or Titan slash Colossi in this scenario, the more damage he's going to do. So he's a mix in between kind of debuffing and damage right here. And for his ultimate skill, the move that gets introduced to his kit now is Expose Weakness with a 70% chance for 2 turns after defense down is procced. So I guess in the perfect world, defense down would go up on his first turn. Maybe he would get SP, so he could do courageous strike on his second turn, and in theory that exposed weakness could go up on that turn or go up on the following turn. So 3 turns in, he already has defense down and exposed weakness put on the Astromon. Now it sounds like once he attacks, the exposed weakness goes up there, so that should then lead into hopefully a different Astromon taking that exposed weakness and getting more damage out of that. While it doesn't add any more damage to his kit unless he can somehow take that exposed weakness, I think overall this is a fine addition. It's nothing bad whatsoever, because that could help line up with either Fire Shinobi or Bilal, whatever the heck her name is that I keep slaughtering here, just to do more damage. So I don't really see that as a downside, other than probably trying to get his trinkets together. So the gist of Fire Shinobi, of course, is that yeah, I mean, that's fine. His main selling point is debuffing at the end of the day, just due to how his debuffing skills on his 3-star skill. But if we get more damage, and we can get more damage out of our other courageous strikers, I don't have any problems with that. But take a look at his skill books too. Defense down does get a 25% damage boost and goes up to 90% for 2 turns, I'm pretty sure. Yep, 90% for 2 turns. And then courageous strike also receives a 25% damage boost. So if you have the books, I use this dude every single day for Titans, so it would be a no-brainer for me unless I had light or dark, spoiler alert. But yeah, books are fine, and overall I think his ultimate evolution for the fire one is a-okay. And then coming in next here, we do have the water one, who is also an attacker type. Very fine looking man right there, and by fine I mean he looks very aesthetic, don't take that the wrong way. But anyways, his HP sitting at 34k, his attack's 4k, and then his defense is 3k. Now these stats are higher than the fire version of Wukong, but let's see why, because sometimes a stat increase doesn't justify the costs slash usage of that Ashramon here. And let's click on a variant too, because I didn't do variant for the fire one. Okay, I mean, very not dull colors, but kind of like detailed colors, so it kind of looks a little bit muddied, but you know, whatever. Let's take a look at his skills. So for his 3 and 5-star skill, it's HP siphon. So basically the more damage that he does, the more damage he's going to restore to himself. And of course for his 5-star skill, same thing, more damage that he deals to an enemy, it heals the squad. This is a not necessarily passive way to heal Ashramon, because Perse, for example, Persephone, does that with her 3-star skill. It's more of an active approach because you can't heal your squad unless he gets SP enough to do his 5-star skill. When you just begin the game, this seems useful at first, but when you find out that you don't need self-sustain to do whatever content that you're doing, suddenly you're like, you know what, I don't think I'm going to use this ever again, and he's basically just there hanging out. I mean, I think there's some people out there that use him just because they like him. It's none of my business. It's a game at the end of the day here. But the most important thing is going to be that ultimate skill. Does that ultimate skill make him more viable than what he is currently? Well, he does have morale boost, which grants a 50% chance to restore 15% of allies' SP when attacking. So not only do you have to get all 3 of those trinkets equipped on this bad boy, but of course he has to be Evo 3 at that point in time. So if he's at Evo 3 for your water one, you've already committed that far, you might as well go ahead. Overall, I don't think this is really a game changer for Water Wukong. He's still just as mid as he was forever ago. Take a look at the skill books. His 3-star version of HP Siphon gets a 30% damage boost, and then his 5-star version also receives the 30% damage boost. Honestly, with the ultimate skill, unless you love Water Wukong, it's still just going to be a no for me, dog. There's literally just nothing appealing with that kit. But keeping this train moving along here, you guys, we do have the wood version of Sun Wukong, who, spoiler alert, is also an attacker type, coming in with 36k HP, nearly 3.8k attack, and then 2.4k defense. Not sure why his defense is lower than the other 2 Ashramon, even though he's the same Nat 5 as the other 2, and so is his attack, but you know, his HP is a little bit higher, so maybe it makes up for it, maybe it doesn't. Doesn't matter, because we need to take a look at the skills before we decide that. So taking a look at the skills for both 3 and 5-star skills, it's defense down, and literally both of them do the same thing. So for the 3-star skill, of course that one's single target, 70% chance to reduce the enemy's defense for 3 turns, and then for the 5-star skill, that one's 70% chance as well, and it reduces enemy's defense for 2 turns, but that is an AoE. So already this Ashramon is just purely for debuffing. In a Titan scenario here, if you're hitting a Water Titan, this could be useful in the very beginning, but after that it literally drops off, because you have other Ashramon, I think, is it Minicat, who has exposed weakness and like attack up. You have other Ashramon that you can throw out here on the field. I think there's also Wood Scheherazade, who can debuff, and since they don't have the stats of an attacker type, they're just easier to gem up and easier to keep alive, because they can heal the squad. Not only do that, but also debuff and just do that, and then you can have dedicated damage dealers like Wood Merlin on the right lane. So having this Ashramon in the very beginning of Titans is okay, but literally I don't see anyone use him after that. But anyways, taking a look at his ultimate skill as well, offense and defense. Upon using a super skill, increases his attack power by 30% and defense by 50% for all allies for 2 turns. I mean, I could be wrong here, but once again, it's like, why not just bring in Okeanos with that offense and defense in her kit already, and she can naturally just keep that up all the time, versus trying to rely on him to get his super skill off multiple times to get that buff going. Because right now, the only thing that he's bringing to the table is pure debuffing. So once again, in this scenario here, it's like, yes, he has the ultimate skill, but it's really not enough, in one man's opinion, of course, don't come for me, to continue or to even attempt to use Ashramon outside of being a beginner player with literally nothing else to choose from. Like, it's just, I don't know. To me, it's just outdated. They should honestly just change this kit at this point in time, but I don't think that's going to happen. But anyways, let's take a look at the skill books here. So the 3-star version of Defense Down, 25% damage boost, and it goes up to 80% for, what was that, 3 turns. And then for the 5-star version, there is a 15% damage increase, and that goes up to 90% for 2 turns. Books still not worth it. There's cheap and easier ways and more stable ways to get defense down on your left lanes for Titans. So in this scenario, it's just the orange isn't worth the squeeze, man. So far the wood and the water, not really a game changer. The fire has always been the bread and butter, so I would give it to the fire version of Sun Wukong that's taking away the RGB awards for this Ultimate Evolution. And then moving along here to the variant version of the light one, because why not? The light version of Sun Wukong is a tank type. Look at that. Look at it and respect it. And he's coming in with 47k, nearly 48k HP, 2.9k attack, and then 2.7k defense. I was expecting the defense to be a little bit higher, even though I understand his base stats are his base stats, but HP is pretty decent. One of the higher end Ashramon in regards to HP. Of course, not the highest, but yeah, it's decent, and he's a light mon too, so the only real fear that he has is going to be those pesky dark mons. But let's take a look at these skills here. So for the 3-star skill, morale boost, 100% chance to restore 50% of his own SP when attacking. That's great because that leads directly into his 5-star skill, which is shock, and grants 80% chance to shock the target for 2 turns. So he has a way to power up into his 5-star skill, and his 5-star skill is a debuffing move. Sounds great, man. Only caveat here though is, remember, he's a tank type. His attack stat is on the cusp of 3k, which we've seen already with the other Wukongs nearly peaking at 4k. That's 1,000 less attack, so it won't be as efficient as other Ashramon, but it could still be a threat depending on what type of team that you have, and that shock has like a little bit of defense down capabilities in there. It's not like full-on defense down, but it does help with a little bit of damage, especially over time. And taking a look at his ultimate skill, which is HP aggression here, it says when his HP hits 50% or below, just like I believe with water purse, his attack power then becomes proportional to his own max HP, meaning we can hopefully get some more damage out of him. I think this is very not interesting, but I think this was the right move in regards to like Wukong, because he's not a terrible Ashramon, especially if you end up pulling him, but he wasn't super great either. So if you can get him with the Ultimate Evolution, help boost up his base HP already even more, so you can make sure that his ultimate skill hits like a butt cheek on a stick. I wouldn't necessarily call him a threat now, but he could be quite annoying depending on your team's setup here. So I'm down with that. So for the 3-star skill, which is morale boost, it gets a 20% damage boost and it goes up to 60%. Okay. And then shock receives a 15% damage boost, and that one goes up to, what was that, 100%? Wow. So I don't think I said this before, but even if I did, I'm just going to reiterate once again. Definitely a PvP mon when it comes down to it, or just a mon that you need for debuffing. Even if you don't do PvP, if you end up pulling this Ashramon, I could see him being used in something like the Tower of Chaos, especially just the regular old-fashioned you do it every month kind, because he can get his SP up quite quickly and just spam shock until whatever monster that you're facing passes away. So FYI. Pretty much just a PvP mon, at least in one man's opinion here. Alright, last and of course least here is the dark version of Sun Wukong, who is a balance type, coming in with 37k HP, 3.1k attack, and then 3.1k defense. They're literally like 1 digit off. Literally 1. Let's look at that variant. Dude, he looks great. I'm getting some Dragon Ball Z vibes, only from this one though. Only from that one. He reminds me of, what is it, Super Saiyan 4 Goku? Dragon Ball GT, which isn't, it's not canon, is it? I don't think it's canon. Anyways, let's take a look at these skills here, because I believe they tweaked his skills forever ago quite a few times, and it seems like now they've finally kind of settled on what they wanted him to do here. But for his 3 and 5-star skill, it's going to be stun. The 3-star version is 100% chance for 2 turns. Then the 5-star AoE version is 80% chance for 2 turns as well. So basically, if he hits you, pray to the gods, because chances are you're going to get stunned. And that's pretty much all that we can talk about here. In regards to his ultimate skill, he also comes in with resistance down, which grants a 25% chance to reduce the enemy's resistance for 2 turns upon attacking an enemy suffering stun. So what they're saying here is that stun has to proc on an enemy, and then there's a chance that resistance down will proc on an enemy too for 2 turns, where he could, arguably keep up a chain of infinite stuns if everything worked out in a perfect world. I think that's okay. Not necessarily something that I would have desired, because I could bring other mons with resistance down. But the interesting part about this is that it's kind of built into his kit, so there's really no downside of having the ability to kind of proc that resistance down in the first place. In the optimal scenario, this could be annoying, but overall feelings about this, I think it's okay. I mean, it's not terrible because it does synergize with his kit here. However, 25% chance, that means there's 1 out of 4 chance of that proccing, meaning it's just not reliable. That's pretty much it. I mean, obviously if he's sending the Ashramon, that's great, but it's like, don't count on that resistance down. Count more so that that stun's going to stick before the resistance down sticks. But that seems to be it in regards to the dark version of Sun Wukong here. Let's take a look at these skill books, because he's pretty much PvP. I mean, his kit is just based on crowd control. No real damage out of it, even though he has a 3.1k attack stat and is a Dark Astramon. No matter what his attack stat is, when you have other Astramon that have Hunter or Predator or stuff like Puncture, even Shock, 9 times out of 10 you're just going to out damage him, just because their skills are more attack orientated and not crowd control orientated here. But the 3-star version of Stun receives a whopping 30% damage boost, while the 5-star version of Stun gets a 15% damage boost and goes up to 100%. So I will give them a smiley face in regards to the books here. The books do seem to be giving a decent improvement to these Ashramon. That is, if you can afford the books at this point to get all 8, or pray that one of these rows for 4 gets filled up here. But overall, I would say, like, this ultimate evolution, you could argue none of them are necessary because they aren't here. But the ultimate takeaways here is probably the fire and the light. I don't really see a big change in regards to the wood and water, just because they were already niche Ashramon before, and now it literally does nothing to incentivize people to use them, though I could be wrong. And the dark one with resistance down is an interesting take, but will it bring him to the next level by himself? Probably not. But I mean, he is better than what he was before, but still, he's Dark Sun Wukong, and at one point in time it was like a meme to pull him, and now it's just like, oh look, I've gotten Dark Sun Wukong. And I do have one at Evo 3, so I can talk about him. But yeah, that's pretty much it, you guys. Feel free to leave in the comments below about what you guys think about the whole ultimate evolution for Sun Wukong. I appreciate his look. I appreciate that the fire one has gotten some improvements to him. I appreciate the light one, and the dark one, while not my favorite, I guess it's better than nothing. But the wood and water, well, we're not going to talk about that. Anyways, that's all I got.